last hurrah, the end of the line, the final countdown. This is it. It's now or never. There is no tomorrow. Too bad cliches only get you so far. To play in October, you need way more than that.
Kiss it goodbye. There's only one Albert Pujols.
Want to play in October. They won't throw in the towel, pack their bags, or go down without a fight. There won't be just another cliche.
The Tigers with a chance to take command of the AL Central last night, but a Kansas City power surge, Kevin.
Yeah, they had it done in the 9th inning. Todd Jones blew the save, and the Kansas City Royals, you got to worry about teams like that, Jeannie, at the end of the season, because they love upsetting anybody that might go to the postseason. And
they look pretty upset. All right, going on right now is an early start for the Twins for the White Sox. Ron Makoviak getting the White Sox with a bit of an early start on the board. 1-0, top 3 here. But I guess most of it's the fact that Mr. Garza was not having a good day. No, he wasn't. Already knocked out of the ball game. You know, Iguchi single in center field off of Garza in the 3rd. Iguchi would also score on a fielder's choice. And that's where we sit, bottom 4-4s at White Sox. And now that they've got the invite, who would Minnesota rather face? Well, at first, owner Carl Pohlad said he has no preference. Then, throwing caution to the wind, he fessed up, quote, "I'd rather play the Yankees because I know we can beat them." All right, sounds like fighting words, but I'm thinking short series here and maybe a short series without Randy Johnson with that herniated disc. Confidence for his twin Balkman, because in all likelihood, that's probably what's going to happen. They're going to have to face the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, and I think it is. The Yankees have beat up on them in the past. They've had a lot of success against the Twins historically. But when you got Johan Santana possibly going twice in a 5-game series, should it go that far, you got a good chance. But remember, the Yankees also are without Randy Johnson, and, you know, this makes it a little bit better for the Minnesota Twins. Johan Santana, one of the most dominant pitchers in the game, probably going to win the Cy Young Award once again. He'll win it now for the 2nd time. Led the league in ERA, led the world in strikeouts. The guy goes deep into the game and has no record at Yankee Stadium in a couple of postseason starts. Or actually is 1-0 at Yankee Stadium with no ERA in 2 postseason starts. There you go. Let's talk about the Wonder Kids from Detroit. Yeah, you remember Jerry Bonnerman a few years ago lost 19 games. Now he's developed into a solid, at least number 2 starter. Eventually he'll be a number 1. Here's another guy, Jeannie, just a year out of college, number 1 pick, Justin Verlander. This guy's got unbelievable stuff, hitting, 99, 100 on the gun. Here's a guy in the setup role, Joel Zamaya, who eventually will be a closer, possibly next year, that throws 100, 101 miles an hour. So the strength of the Detroit Tigers, obviously, is their pitching overall. And with the Oakland A's, of course, leaning on Barry Zito once again. The trade Billy Beane didn't make, the best move he made at the trade deadline was keeping him. This guy had a great year, 17 wins, the biggest free agent pitcher on the market. Of course, Eric Chavez has been there before as well. These are the 2 veterans that have been through it with the Oakland A's. Chavez, not a great year for him, but yet still had 21 home runs, 70 RBIs with a couple of games to go. And don't forget about Frank Thomas in the middle of that Oakland lineup. He won't let you forget about him. 2006, by the way, one for the record books. We haven't even lived through October. For the 3rd straight year, Major League Baseball set a new overall single-season attendance record. Over 75 million fans made their way through the turnstiles. And on the subject of groundbreakers, Negro League's great Buck O'Neil resting in a Kansas City hospital. The 94-year-old former batting champ is battling what's being described as extreme fatigue. Of course, our thoughts and prayers going out to Mr. O'Neil. All right, let's get you out to the ball games. You know, it involves the Phillies this week. You know it's not going to be easy. The Fighting Phils show up ready for a wild fight to the finish of Florida, and Mother Nature throws another curveball. We have a rain delay. They get a couple hours sleep in the clubhouse. They're going to drag this season out. There you go, take a nap. Sure. And it all comes down to this in St. Louis. Cardinals, Jeff Suppan, among the winningest pitchers in the NL. The Brewers would like nothing more than to spoil the party. We will keep you updated. It's Fox Saturday Baseball, your game.
The Gateway City, St. Louis, Missouri, where this afternoon Fox Saturday Baseball presents the St. Louis Cardinals, fighting for their lives to get to the postseason, hosting the Milwaukee Brewers. When they greet you here at Busch Stadium, they say, "Welcome to baseball heaven." Quite honestly, maybe it's been more like baseball purgatory. They lost 8 of 9 heading into last night. Houston had won 9 in a row. It is now a game and 1/2 lead. What a huge weekend it's going to be. Hi there once again, everybody. Lou Piniella, Darren Sutton, glad to have you with us. The players were a bit tense. Heck, this town was tense. You learned that all in one simple car ride, didn't you?
I got a quick glimpse of that leaving the airport. The driver was lamenting the fact that the Cardinals are really, really struggling. And after hearing him for a while, I finally posed the question, well, what's wrong with the Cardinals? He says, I don't know, but they better fix it quickly. That's exactly what they did last night. The bats came alive. Jeff Weaver pitched a good ball game. And to boot, Atlanta did its part by beating Houston.
Well, the mechanic in fixing it, let's tie it into the car, has been Albert Pujols. I ask you this, a guy like Pujols gets it going, is there such a thing as momentum for the Cardinals heading into today?
Well, no question about it. Momentum is a story at the end of the season and into postseason. And certainly when Albert is swinging the bat the way he is right now, that's momentum plus.
All right, so Ben Sheets will be facing Albert Pujols, a power matchup. Like a great goalie in hockey, Ben Sheets can stop that momentum immediately, can't he?
Well, he's a power pitcher. He's got a great curveball. Good pitching beats good hitting. And certainly if Sheets is on his game today, he'll give these Cardinal hitters all they want and more.
All right, we're certainly glad you're with us this afternoon. We'll tell you this. They have turned into smiles, but it wasn't smiles for about 10 days in St. Louis. All the action is next. Well, here we are, overcast day at Busch Stadium. The Brewers and Cardinals opened up this beautiful ballpark. They will close it up for the regular season, and they hope for postseason. For those of you expecting to see the Philadelphia Phillies and Florida Marlins, obviously a key wild card game, we'll get you there as soon as we can. That's as Mother Nature allows, obviously. Let's take a look at the Milwaukee Brewers starting lineup managed by Ned Yost. It's brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. A couple of big league names, huh, folks? Tony Gwynn Jr., Prince Fielder, 1 through 3, Graffinino in the middle. Bill Hall, Jeff Jenkins, Corey Hart. Another name there very familiar whose daddy played, David Bell. Mike Rivera with Ben Sheets on the mound. And on the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals, he is a workhorse, blue-collar style pitcher, Jeff Suppan. When you take a look at Suppan's season, obviously the second half jumps out at you at 2.37, but he's a guy, again, that will go over 200 innings just about every single year. Tell us a little bit more about Mr. Suppan, Lou.
Well, he is a workhorse, and he's a 4-pitch pitcher. Throws a 2-seam, 4-seam fastball, mostly the 2-seam variety. Likes to throw ground balls. Got a curveball, slider, and a changeup, and he's a crafty pitcher. He needs to pitch backwards in the count. He needs to change speeds, and he can pitch to the 4 quadrants of the strike zone, which makes him very effective.
So up and in, down and in, up and away, and down and away.
Well, if you can pitch up and in and down and away, you're going to make yourself a nice living pitching in the big leagues.
It's all about making sure those hitters don't get comfortable. You get comfortable. We are underway in St. Louis as Tony Gwynn Jr. bunts that baseball foul. 0-1 the count on a man who may get a shot to play center field every day for Milwaukee next year. The name obviously is very familiar, and as a matter of fact, Tony Gwynn Jr. was born, well, just the day after his daddy, Tony Gwynn, ended his rookie season in 1982.
Well, if he can turn out half as good as his dad was, he's going to be very pleased with his major league statistics.
That's what you're talking about. Little bit on, little bit off. 0-2 the count.
Well, that's really the secret to pitching, unless you can throw the ball in the high 90s like Nolan Ryan used to do consistently. The rest of these pitchers, they've got to change speeds.
I guess we call that pitching, right?
Well, that's what it's called pitching. And the guys that can do this and throw strikes, stay ahead of the count, and pitch backwards in the count, they're going to pose a lot of problems for opposing hitters.
Suppan, 31 years old. Some more question marks being answered. You see Jeff Weaver there in the dugout. He pitched very well last night as Gwynn hangs in there, and he has seen nothing hard yet. And probably not a bad idea for a young hitter like a Gwynn and a little further down like a Prince Fielder. These guys are over-aggressive. They feel the energy of this ball game, even though the Brewers are out of it.
Well, young kids come up here and they want to impress, and you're not going to impress too much taking too much. They've got to swing the bat and show the opposing, the manager, that they can hit.
And amazingly enough, the first hard one nowhere near the wide of the plate. 1-2 the count. Run it to 2-2 now.
That's a nice pitch. I think it would have froze young Gwynn.
2-2 to Tony. There, he doubled up on him. He tried to hit the corner.
That's a pretty good eye. Impressive. Hard pitch to lay off him.
I think it's in the bloodlines, that good eye. Full count just underway. Born in Oklahoma City, Suppan grew up in Southern California. Gwynn hanging in there.
Boy, talking about Gwynn's dad, I used to love to watch him hit. He would put on a clinic. Could hit the ball line to line. You know, he could have hit a lot more home runs if he chose to.
You answered my question. I mean, because he's a guy that they talk about could have hit more home runs. Outfield very shallow for Gwynn. Should be an easy chance for a former Brewer, Ronnie Belliard, and one away. Let's take a look at those Cardinals defensively. There's a lot of gold out there, we'll tell you that. A lot of gold in center, a lot of gold at third base. Preston Wilson, Jim Edmonds, Chris Duncan, outfield. Edmonds getting healthy from that post-concussion syndrome. 6-time Gold Glover Scott Rolen at third, then it's X9, Belliard, and Pujols, who may win gold at some point, and Yadier Molina behind home plate. They need to have him healthy for the postseason, Jim Edmonds.
Well, Edmonds, when you look at a team and you put a team together, what you want is to be really strong up the middle. And when Edmonds is out in center field, the Cardinals are a very strong team up the middle.
Tony Graffinino will test Jim Edmonds. Nobody goes after a baseball like that center fielder. It's so comfortable to watch. 2 outs.
It's very relaxing for the outfield coach. When the ball's hit that way, and this ball's hit pretty well, but he had a beat on that ball, leaving the bat, made it look very, very easy.
Well, what he does, and outfield coaches that you'll talk to, there you see the Gold Gloves, active players. 8 of them for Jim Edmonds. Prince Fielder takes a breaking ball for strike 1. Anyway, what he does out there in center field, he plays very shallow because he's so comfortable going back on the ball. That takes a lot of base hits away in front of him.
It's intimidating to the hitter, knowing that if you hit a line drive in the medium center field, you're out instead of having a base hit. I remember when I played, Paul Blair used to play with the Baltimore Orioles, and he played a very shallow center field, and I didn't want to hit the ball to center field.
Prince Fielder's been hitting the ball a lot in his rookie season. A bit late on that one, 1-2 the count, leading all rookies in the National League with 27 home runs. And again, the bloodlines like Tony Gwynn Jr., Big Daddy, Cecil Fielder, who hit 51 home runs in 1990 with the Tigers.
Boy, he came back from Japan and really, really lit up the scoreboard at Old Tiger Stadium.
1-2 the count. Inside, very different ball players, as we have learned. Prince, built similar to his dad, he really works his tail off. It's realizing God has made you this size, staying this size, and he surprised everyone at first with a lot of range. 2-2 the count, and a good eye there.
Well, Cecil wanted that bat in his hand.
Right.
That's what he enjoyed.
There's a big difference right there. Prince is very prideful in hearing his father called an automatic DH his entire childhood, and he's made it clear all year long, I don't want to be in that category. I know I'll be big. I realize that. And certainly is a guy that is right there near the front of the pack to win that Rookie of the Year award. The pitch is low. He draws a walk. Who would you vote for, folks, for Rookie of the Year? I mean, it's one of those situations where 110 RBIs might win it for you. The Marlins might split the votes. 3 good names there. I'll give the vote to the man who actually won Rookie of the Year, Mr. Piniella. Who would you vote for?
Well, I think Ryan Zimmerman, with 110 RBIs for a team that's way below 500, would get my vote. Although, I've been very impressed with Fielder, and when you look at the Marlins, they've got 3 or 4 young kids that can really, really play. Their future is so bright there in Miami.
And that was a challenge in building that graphic right away, as you could see. Who do you put on to represent the Marlins? Well, you put the roster, or at least half of it. Billy Hall showing a lot of power. If you haven't heard of Bill Hall, well, you will. This is a guy with rookie J.J. Hardy, or second-year shortstop J.J. went out earlier this year with an ankle injury. Hall responded. 35 home runs this year.
He's got really good power to right center field. Now the Brewers need to find a position for him where he can play in one place instead of moving him around.
There was a prevailing notion as a young man that he drifted a little bit mentally, so they thought it was better for him to play a little in center, a little at second, a little at short. Now you're right on. He's proven that notion wrong. He's really impressed with his focus.
So he's a very productive Major League Baseball player for a young kid. I'll tell you what, the future bodes well for this Milwaukee Brewer organization. They've got a lot of good young kids. I know they've had some injuries with Weeks and Hart, but boy, they've got some young talent out there that can play.
Just underway here at Busch Stadium. 1-1 the count. And here is Hall. He has peppered this ballpark the last couple of days. His power, Lou, is to right field, and he has shown it.
Well, he stays inside the ball very, very well. Hits with that open stance, but he closes it as the ball is delivered.
22 of his home runs out of the 35 are either to center field or right field. And I guess if you stay committed, as you mentioned, to going that way, you can still pull them. That doesn't mean you stop pulling them.
Well, you pull unintentionally. When you try to pull the ball pronounced, your timing, it's very hard to pull the ball every at bat. But when you can stay centered, right center or left center, it's much easier to hit that way.
He's ahead in the count. 3-1. High pop-up, shallow center field. That would be a large can of corn for Mr. Edmonds. The Brewers strand a base runner through one half. Scoreless ball game in St. Louis. The news is good if you are expecting to see the Florida Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies. They're taking the tarp off at Dolphin Stadium. Heck, what would a day be without a bit of a rainstorm? Maybe within the next 15 minutes we'll send you out. That can be your ball game. But for now, Ben Sheets here in St. Louis, Missouri, just about ready to go to face this Cardinals lineup. It's brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. They have Eckstein back, though he's battling an ailing hamstring. It's Chris Duncan and the red-hot Albert Pujols of late. Preston Wilson, Rolen, Edmonds, Belliard, Molina, and Suppan. Ben Sheets, 28-year-old right-hander, is on the mound for the Milwaukee Brewers. He's battled upper back and shoulder problems throughout this season. In 16 starts, 6-7 with an ERA of 4.05. David Eckstein takes away. Tell us a little bit more about him, Lou.
Well, Ben's a power pitcher. He throws 3 pitches. The four-seam fastball, he throws a curveball, and an occasional change, and once in a while even an occasional cutter. And he needs to rev it up early. Like a typical power pitcher.
To the right side, Eckstein as he waits.
It takes him a while to get that full velocity up. He usually starts in the high to mid-80s and builds it up to 94, 95.
And that's based, I think, upon Sheets over the last couple of years. Lat injury, back injury, shoulder injury. I think the thing that might benefit him the most is sitting all winter long and being healthy.
I agree with that. Rest is the best cure. I know these major league trainers are very adroit at doing what they do, but sometimes good old Mother Nature takes care of things better than anything else.
Let's simplify it, folks. Let's be honest. There are rubs and gauzes and swabs and salves and all that stuff. There's a hot tub, there's a cold tub, but the body responds to rest, and Mr. Sheets needs some. He spent all of last winter rehabbing, and there's a big defensive shift there that you can see for the young power hitter, Chris Duncan.
And what a nice job Duncan has done. You know, he's worked hard with Hal McRae, the Cardinal hitting coach. He's shortening up the swing. Here you see that good four-seam riding fastball that Mr. Sheets possesses. He threw it right by young Duncan.
Well, he got the feel on it. That one touched 90 miles an hour. Here is a power-on-power matchup. 53 times these two have met. They work within the same division. 89. That's not where he wants to be, but 0-1 the count. 48 home runs, 136 RBIs. Both career highs for Albert Pujols, who's safe to say is actively the best hitter in the game.
I concur.
He might not win the MVP this year.
Well, to me, it's either he or the young guy at Philadelphia, Ryan Howard.
He spanks that one into right center field, toward the gap, toward the wall. Off the base of the wall, he's hustling on around. It's played very effectively. The throw, not in time. Give the Brewers credit. They put that one together nicely. Got it to the cutoff man in Graffinino.
Well, here you see Albert just go with the pitch and drives it. off that right center field wall, and a great play. Really close at second base. I thought he was out.
He looked out from that replay.
Bang, bang at second base.
That's Gwynn to Graffinino. And went on in. Bill Hall applying the tag.
Well, that relay, that's the way you set it up in spring training. On the drawing board.
A lot of strikeouts have followed Preston Wilson around throughout his career. You talked to Ned Yost, and he said, I'm not seeing that as much in this series.
He's much more aggressive since he's come over to the Cardinals from Houston. And he's hit some big home runs for this team here over the past month.
He homered last night, and ironically enough, as he's homing in both games in this series, he is hurting his old club by hitting here in St. Louis.
Yeah, it sort of surprised me a little bit that Houston let him go.
Got him with a curveball over the outside corner, so Pujols is stranded. That car's warming up a bit. Sheets is getting there. Scored a ball game. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by your Exxon and Mobil retailers. We're drivers too. By the Taco Bell Big Bell Value Menu. Think outside the bun. And by Chevy, baseball's #1 fan. Chevy, an American revolution. Again, for those of you hoping and waiting to see your Philadelphia Phillies or your Florida Marlins, the rain delay is just about wrapped up. Very quickly, we'll be sending you down to South Florida. Hang with us for a few more moments, where Jeff Suppan pounded that strike zone in a scoreless ball game in the first inning. 4 for 4 first pitch strikes. And he faces a man who in the Milwaukee Brewers has become a very intriguing story. As we head into September, Jeff Jenkins takes away.
Well, he's had a bit of a renaissance here in September. He was benched a little bit in August, and all of a sudden he's getting an opportunity to play every day and making the most of it.
Yeah, he's having a big month of September. The longest standing Brewer broke in back in 1998 with Milwaukee. And when we mean benched, he was benched. There was no platooning. He was benched for about a couple of weeks. Ned Yost taking full responsibility for the decision. In hindsight, maybe a platoon would have been a better decision. He struggled against lefties. Toward left field, using the entire ballpark. Wilson going back. It's over his head in the Renaissance, as it was appropriately called. Luke continues, and again, his power may be to right, but that's how you hit 500 in a month.
Well, he gets a good fastball out over the plate here by Suppan, and he drives it over the left fielder Wilson's head. And you're right, if you want to hit for average and give yourself a chance for hit for power, you go the other way. Last night he got a big hit with 2 strikes, also to drive in the first Brewer run in the first inning off Weaver.
Head down, eyes focused on that baseball. Perfect position in that contact. He's got a big leg kick, and that's always been part of his approach, but he's cut that down a bit. Well, now the beneficiary of the Jenkins benching was this young man, 6 feet 6 inches tall, Corey Hart. He took over, and he's done a fine job, and he's got a lot more playing time.
Reminds me a little bit of an ex-Brewer, Richie Sexton.
Good call. Good call. He's got that kind of power. He's not there yet, though.
He's a little more athletic. Last night he made a great throw from left field.
That one kicks away. Jeff Jenkins gets back. Yeah, again, as you mentioned, Lou, for a guy who's 6'6", very athletic, that's a tough bounce. You know, a guy like Molina with Suppan, you've got to be ready all the time in the dirt because he doesn't want to be up in the zone.
Well, Molina does a really nice job with these Cardinal pitchers. One of 3 Molina brothers in the big leagues.
Jose's in California with the Angels. Benji in Toronto. Hart, fly ball, right field. One tall guy to another, 6'6" to 6'5". Chris Duncan makes the play. Jenkins scurries into third. And runner at third for Milwaukee with just 1 out.
Well, that's a good piece of hitting there by Corey Hart. Goes the other way. Fastball. Just hits it out to right field behind the runner. And the secret is to advance runners, especially with no outs.
And look at the result. You just backed it up right there. High fives in that dugout for a fly out to right field.
Yeah, your hitting coach, your manager, your coaches, the rest of your players, they really appreciate it. Helps you win baseball games. Now, the secret is to get them in.
Get them on, get them over, get them in.
Get them in. Sounds simple, doesn't it?
It's that easy, isn't it?
It sure is.
And all the years you managed, there were some times where I would imagine, and Ned Yost went through this, and Tony too, it's not easy, and teams start locking up, don't they?
Well, I've been fortunate. I've always managed some really, really good hitting ball clubs.
To the right side, diving play, Albert Pujols, and you can't get him in. They had the infield drawn in there, and Albert with enough range to knock it down.
Well, the hitter does his part. He hits this ball very well. I'll tell you what, you talk about Pujols, you always talk about his offensive prowess, but I'll tell you this, he has really, really improved defensively at first base.
Gold Glove quite possibly someday?
Maybe someday.
Pujols has played in the outfield coming up to the system. They will intentionally walk Mike Rivera to face Ben Sheets, who may have a talented right arm, but he doesn't have much of a bat at all.
Well, I see that 0.32 ERA, or I mean batting average.
Now he'd love for that to be his ERA.
Exactly, exactly.
That batting average would win the ERA title.
Yeah, I can see
walk.
It's hard to walk the 8th hitter in a National League lineup, because you really want to get that hitter out and let the pitcher lead off the next inning. But I guess that anemic batting average that Mr. Sheets has prompts Tony La Russa to say, let's just not take any chances.
Yeah, a manager like Ned Yost on this decision by Tony La Russa calls it turning over the lineup. Now, Ned Yost, although he'd love to get a run here, will be able to go back to the top of the order next inning.
Big difference.
That's always why hitting 8th to me. I mean, you look at that 8th position in the batting order. Sheets really put in play, but his Brewers come up empty. 1.5 in the books. Scoreless. Must win for St. Louis. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Budweiser. Bright, crisp, clean, pure. This is Budweiser. This is beer. Glad to have you back in the city that brews, Budweiser. More than you can imagine. St. Louis, Missouri. Ben Sheets v. Scott Rolen to start things off. That pitch is high and away. 1-0 the count. 93 miles an hour on that first pitch fastball.
Well, starting to crank it up, starting to loosen up. Good curveball there. I'll tell you what, he's impressive. Strikeouts to walk ratio is just sensational. You just got to stay healthy.
Good fastball, 94 miles an hour. When you talk to Ben, he certainly is aware, as he ties up Scott Rolen, that this game is on network television. All these Brewers are. This is their lone chance to shine this year. Maybe something like that, Lou, can get a guy like Sheets and turn that engine up a little bit earlier, as you talked about.
Well, he's got number 1 or 2 starter stuff on any staff in the big leagues. And just watching him as a hitter, you better lay off of that high fastball because he'll ride it right by you.
There he goes at 94.
Rolen's had a streaky year this year.
Yes.
He's been hot, he's been cold. He's starting to swing the bat a little better, which bodes well for the Cardinals if indeed they get in the postseason.
1-2 the count. Let's see if it's a curveball. He threw him a changeup. And here he is Thursday, starting to warm up. It was a loss for the Cardinals in that game, 9-4, but you know what? A bit of a victory when they know they can start counting on him. 4-game hitting streak, hitting just a little bit over 200 in September, and there you see the difference in halves. That tells a big story. Fastball rides away.
Well, certainly the Cardinals have the names in the lineup that are very capable of providing good offense and with power.
He's sticking with the fastball. I was looking curveball there.
Well, you've got Rolen, you got Edmonds, you got Belliard, you got Wilson, you got Pujols. Eckstein's a good little leadoff hitter. Boy, this club here can score some runs if they all get hot at once.
Another poised to do that. They just need to make sure that they aren't hot on the golf course. They need to make sure they're hot in postseason baseball. You know, from your car ride to the atmosphere in this ballpark the first couple of nights here, I mean, folks, along with Tony La Russa, he said that we finally are playing with that bit of nervousness that we should be playing with after the Brewers took Game 1 in this series. And a sense of urgency that maybe, according to La Russa, we just didn't have. Well, now they have it.
Well, they're running out of games. They've been holding on to first place and just barely all year. I came last night. I just wanted to watch the Milwaukee team a little bit because I hadn't seen them. The atmosphere was so good at this ballpark. I was only going to watch 4 or 5 innings and get something to eat and go to bed. I stayed here for the entire ball game and thoroughly enjoyed it. Great atmosphere in this ballpark.
Well, they needed a night like that, quite honestly. Felt like Mass for a couple of days here. He got him, swung right over the top of that one. And an off-speed pitch. He backed off. I think Rolen looking heat.
Just a good pitch. Out over the plate. And Rolen swung right under it.
That's a 10-pitch at bat for Scott Rolen. Lou, he broke that changeup out. He threw 2 of those changeups to Rolen. I guess when you're a hitter and you think fastball, curveball, that changeup will surprise you.
Yeah, and it's surprising to me that he's throwing it with 2 strikes. Usually with 2 strikes, a hitter is trying to protect the plate a little more, and I think he can handle the changeup a little better in that situation.
Here's Jim Edmonds. And again, a big shift defensively, and it's unique. On the infield, they play him the pull. The outfield, they play him the other way.
Well, watching the Milwaukee team defense last night and here early in the ball game, they play their outfield over a heck of a lot. I haven't seen that as pronounced from other major league teams all summer.
The Brewers do it more than any team in baseball. Whether it's shifting the infield, shifting the outfield. Curveball inside corner, strike 3. That's a good old-fashioned yellowhammer there.
Well, your dad had a pretty good yellowhammer. That reminds me a little bit. Facing Hall of Famer Don Sutton, you had to really be aware of that curveball. With Sheets, I can see the same thing.
Benny's got a little more giddy up on the fastball, but the concept is the same as my father. High fastball, curveball out of that same plane.
Great way to pitch. Bert Blyleven. Another pitcher, Camilo Pascual. I'm going back in time now, but boy, when you can ride that fastball up in the zone and all of a sudden throw that yellowhammer, it makes you talked about Mass, it makes you genuflect at home plate a heck of a lot.
We'll go back in time with you. Keep going. We don't mind that. There it is. A breaking ball, 0-2 the count. He started that one at the knees. He didn't start that one up.
And then the daddy of all of them, Nolan Ryan.
Everyone forgets about the curveball. Belliard, left field. Hart, a couple of steps to his right. Scoreless ball game. We will return to St. Louis right after these messages from your local Fox station. Suppan goes back to work, back to the top of the order against Tony Gwynn. Strike 1. Scoreless ball game. We've completed 2 innings. And a ball game for the St. Louis Cardinals as they start play. A game and a half ahead of the Houston Astros. Changeup misses outside. Later on tonight, the Houston Astros visiting the Atlanta Braves. Sampson against Cormier in that matchup. And of course, last night it was Chipper Jones and friends victorious 4-1 over Houston. And what may be Roger Clemens' last ever major league outing. Win with a base hit. Boy, doesn't that look like daddy right there?
Really a pretty stroke. Nice and short and quick to the ball. Keeps his head right down. It looks like vintage dad.
Well, an outstanding thrower behind the plate in Yadier Molina. But Tony Gwynn might be thinking about going here.
Well, the other thing with the Cardinals, the pitchers, they do such a really nice job of holding base runners. They're quick to the plate and allow Molina to throw out 40% of base stealers.
He's got a big lead. You know, what's kind of the magic number there? Is it about a third of the time? If you can throw out 33%, you're doing a good job. What is the number there?
I think you're right. About 33%. These runners, they really know how to time a pitcher. They get good jumps.
There he goes. drawing a pitch out. Oh, my goodness. Did he get him with a tag? He did. That's what Darryl Cousins said. You talk about sniffing it out. Is there any better feeling as a manager than sniffing it out like that, Lou?
Well, from your scouting reports, you know the counts that base runners like to run in. At the same time, noticed when Suppan threw over to first base, Gwynn jumped back, which gave Tony La Russa a little inclination that possibly he'd be going. Graffinino's a perfect hit and run guy. He hits behind the runner really, really well. So it's good percentage by the manager, especially when you have a good pitcher out there that throws strikes.
So for Graffinino, the count evens up at 1-1. Tony Gwynn stole 29 bases this year in AAA. The Brewers don't know if, in fact, this is their leadoff man of the future. Youngster Ricky Weeks, talented second baseman, I should say, pardon me. Got injured, had a wrist injury. He was doing a nice job. The offense really changed once Weeks went down for Milwaukee. And this is a club that late in August, I mean, the perception, I think, if you don't follow the Brewers on a regular basis, and in a smaller market that might be the case, is that once Carlos Lee was traded to Texas, they disappeared. Matter of fact, they went 10-5 in their first 15 games without Carlos Lee. It's really losing Ricky Weeks at the top of the order that hurt.
Well, there are a lot of expectations for this Milwaukee team this year. They finished 500 last year. They thought that they would contend in the Central Division. They've taken just a little step backwards, but it's given them the opportunity to play a lot of young kids. And when you can do that, and I know I've read some comments where their owner, they said he's going to spend a little money next year. Things bode well for this organization.
Is there anything better than going to a ball game and ending up with a foul ball like that young man? We had some great shots during the break of youngsters enjoying baseball on the final weekend of the season in the regular season. 1-2 the count on Graffinino.
A lot of young kids at this ballpark. You love to see a lot of kids at the ballpark, and here in St. Louis,
it's kind of a family affair.
It really is.
What does he throw here? 1-2 in this scoreless ball game. Good pitch down and away, a slider. Ricky Weeks, Tony Gwynn, whoever the leadoff hitter is, it doesn't matter. Behind home plate, Yadier Molina has one whale of an arm. Walk us through some of these outstanding throws.
Well, he's got really good hands. He gets his arm in great position. He's very accurate where he throws. And he loves to throw behind the hitter at the first base. And he handles his pitching staff very well. Talking to...
Will you hold that thought for me? Is that all right? I love Def Leppard on that package, by the way. Good 80s rock there. Scoreless ball game. Boy Souvenir Ballpark. And you get one and you come home as Molina skies it to center field. A couple of sisters there enjoying the ball game. I would imagine there are demands for those two sisters. So let me tell you this. I get to go to the game, Dad. I get to, in fact, hang out with my sister. Maybe even eat some cotton candy. The big promise I want from you, Mom and Dad, is that I get to stay up even later tonight, even though it's a day game. You let the kids ever stay up late, Lou? I mean, ball players' kids, they had to follow you around. You always had them up late, didn't you?
Well, when I was a player, my kids used to love to watch me play, so they would stay up, yes.
And that's when you fall into Dad's schedule of being 7, 8 years old, going to bed at midnight, sleeping till 9.
Yeah, and when you're an athlete and you play the demanding schedule that these guys do, the moms really do a great job bringing up a family.
You can't understate that. And a lot of moms here with sons and daughters. A lot of grandpas, grandmas here. Suppan handles the bat a little bit better than Mr. Sheets. He's got 10 hits this year, including 6 RBIs, hitting 189.
He's just trying to put the ball in play with 2 strikes. I don't think he'll handle Uncle Charlie.
Just visited right there. We'd love to have him to the show.
Boy, that's a tight spin on that breaking ball.
Today, a few of them have almost looked like sliders, haven't they?
They look like a slider, yes. Boy, you can see that ball bite down in the zone.
Big Ben, 28-year-old right-hander out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Not an easy play. David Bell will not make the play. see how they rule it.
Again, just a ground ball. Third baseman Bell playing in the shortstop pole, doesn't get over the line. Base hit.
All right, if you say it, that's what we'll rule it. Base hit. That's what they rule it here. Got a long way to go.
It wasn't an easy play, and when a hitter usually hits a ground ball that way, he's going to get a good jump out of the batter's box.
The undoing for the Brewers
although
last
it was the
night,
pitcher running.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And Lou, the undoing for the Brewers last night came when a pitcher reached in Jeff Weaver. Here we go, hit and run. How many times you call for those when you were managing with the pitcher in the National League?
Well, you know, one thing with Tony, and here you see Sheets doesn't pay any attention at all to Suppan. When you manage against Tony, you better be watching what he does, because he'll pull some rabbits out of his hat at times. I get a kick out of it.
Been getting a kick out of that with Tony La Russa for years and years and years, haven't you? You guys all, not just baseball friends, but childhood friends.
Yeah, childhood friends growing up in Tampa, played, managed. Yeah. You know, some managers don't give signs all the time. With Tony, you've got to watch him, because he'll do some things. Likes the double steal. He likes to squeeze.
These two were together, American Legion post number 248, playing baseball years ago.
How about that?
David took that one out of the catcher's mitt. 0-2 the count.
And getting Eckstein back in the lineup is a big thing for the Cardinals. You know, he's been out with the oblique, with the hamstring. But he's getting healthy at the right time. Last night he laid down a really good bunt to get a Cardinal inning going.
Center field, Quinn trying to get comfortable like Edmonds out there. 2 away right now. Let's go to Jeannie Zelasco. It's time for a game break.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. 28-minute rain delay in Florida. Worth the wait for the Marlins, but not for Phillies starter Brandon Wolf. First, Miguel Cabrera jumps on him. Home run number 26 on the season to get the Marlins on the board. Very next batter, Josh Willingham. This one's out as well. Home run number 26 for him. Marlins 2-zip, bottom 1.
Well, thank you, Jeannie. And the picture will get very clear if the Philadelphia Phillies lose today. They will be out. LA and San Diego both getting ready to play out on the West Coast. LA visiting San Francisco, San Diego visiting Arizona. But if Philadelphia cannot rally, one will be the division winner, one will be the wild card. Yet to be determined, obviously.
Well, I know a lot of people don't like the wild card, but I do. It really keeps a lot of more teams in the race. A lot of more interest in baseball at the end of the season.
How much interest would there be right now in Philadelphia? I mean, that's your point right there, Lou. I mean, the Philadelphia Phillies started play today.
11 games out.
Yeah, 11 games back.
Well,
I totally agree with you.
You look at the rest of these sports. National Football League, basketball, the NBA. Well, in hockey, everybody gets in.
I think it's everybody, and they actually invite up a few minor league hockey teams to come play as well.
But in baseball, this wild card's really been good.
3-2 the count. First full count for Ben Sheets in this game.
Well, he's a strike-throwing machine, and when you're a power pitcher like that, what a big advantage.
Curveball, fastball. Which one? Fastball, and he rifles it into center field. Suppan, the pitcher, on his horse. Heads into third. Runners on first and third with 2 outs. Son of pitching coach Dave Duncan, Chris Duncan, making a name all by himself.
Well, here he gets a fastball down in the zone. Most left-hand hitters prefer the ball down. You notice at the first at bat, he struck him out with the 4-seam fastball up in the zone. Got 2 strikes on him. All of a sudden, got it down. Duncan drove it up the middle. And now you got Mr. Pujols.
And that's how huge a hit like that is with 2 outs. I mean, hitting in front of Pujols, I guess you know you're going to see a lot of strikes, correct?
It's a great place for a young hitter to hit. You're going to get good pitches to hit. They don't want to walk you to get to this monster.
All right, speaking of walking. mean, they've been pitching to Albert over the last couple of days. Ned Yost had this exact same situation last night. He had second base open. They worked to Albert. He made him pay. A couple of days ago, he made the San Diego Padres pay. 1-1 the count on a breaking ball.
That breaking ball there was unhittable. Just perfectly placed. See, he hits the catcher's glove right on the outside corner.
Speaking of genuflecting, you don't see that much from Albert. That one misses away. Okay, in a situation like this, is it sometimes for Ned Yost just your gut feeling? You throw the numbers away and just go with your gut?
Well, most managers go with their gut. I like numbers. I think baseball is a game of percentages, strict percentages.
Well, they attacked him. And no matter what the numbers say, he has a big career against Ben Sheets. That works this time. They pitched to him and they got him. Scoreless ball game. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Travelocity.com. Book with Travelocity and you'll never roam alone. By Goodyear, bringing innovative technology to you, and by DHL, delivering America's pastime on time. Busch Stadium, glad to have you back with us. Or is it Miami? No, we're at Busch Stadium. I mean, you've got to be festive in the Midwest because that thing could be in 12 inches of snow, that palm tree out there in the wintertime. Bill Hall takes strike one.
Well, that palm tree that you're alluding to is up in that pavilion, up in center field.
You ever find yourself with a fruity drink in your hand along the way?
Even a nice cold Budweiser.
Okay. So PC. I mean, you just play right along, don't you? That's well said. 1-1 the count. Floridian very comfortable with palm trees. There's no doubt about that. Hall trying to go to right field and fouls it back.
Boy, it's a contrast in styles between Suppan and Sheets.
Well,
Sheets with the power, this guy here with the craftiness. Poses problems for both opposing teams' hitters.
Less margin for error, obviously, for Jeff Suppan. He has really reeled that in this year.
And what makes it a little tougher for this type of pitcher is later on in the ball game, the third or fourth at bat.
Ironically enough for Suppan, I mean, he is one of the best in Major League Baseball since the All-Star break. All the guys that join him on that list are different. I mean, they are more of the classic power pitcher, although Clemens has evolved, no doubt about that. But Johan Santana, Anibal Sanchez, one of the great stories that maybe none of you have ever heard, has thrown a no-hitter earlier this year.
Well, I have a little bit of a theory about pitching. Earlier in the season, the finesse pitcher, hitters aren't too sharp. They haven't seen the breaking balls, the changeups, and so forth. Their bats are still nice and fresh, and they've got good bat speed. When it starts getting warm, the legs start getting a little tired, the heat, the humidity comes into these different stadiums. You want that power. And give me some power in the summer. Teams that have good power in the summer, and they can throw strikes, they're in business.
Well, you saw a good one a moment ago. Right now, though, let's get back out to L.A. Here's Jeannie Zelasco with a game break.
Ladies and gentlemen, the White Sox trying to make their mark on the 2006 postseason. Since they're not going to be there, might as well spoil the Twins' central plan. Tadeguchi, solo shot number 18 for him on the year. The White Sox up big 6-0, top 8.
Well, thank you very much, Jeannie. There you see the situation. Both teams tied, and Detroit holds the tiebreaker, and there are many ways to shake that down, but the first thing you look at it is head-to-head matchup. So if they do, in fact, end up tied, Detroit wins the division. Minnesota ends up with the wild card.
Been a heck of a race in that American League Central. I thought earlier in the year, watching the White Sox, they were possibly the best team in baseball.
Best team. That's the amazing thing about it. You don't win it on paper, do you?
You really don't. You need a lot of things to happen. Chemistry, unexpected performances. Staying away from injuries. best talent doesn't necessarily always win. Good fastball there, right on the inside corner. It's the catcher's glove.
Sheets, everything comes off his fastball. Suppan, everything leads up to his fastball. Pitcher that actually has to set up his fastball. But the key really today for both these pitchers is they are crushing the strike zone. With that in mind, let's take a look at the AutoZone strike zone. And the strike zone has certainly been the friend of both Ben Sheets and Jeff Suppan.
Well, one thing I've noticed about Suppan, when he's pitching really well, I've seen him pitch a couple times this year, he really gets into a rhythm. He gets that sign. He wants to throw that ball. And the infielders and outfielders love playing behind a guy that pitches quickly. Now, when he struggles, now he slows down his pace.
All the games that you manage, Lou, I mean, nearly 3,000. There really is something to that. You will get a few extra plays throughout the season if you work quicker, won't you?
You get a lot of better plays. Infielders are more on their toes, expecting the ball to be hit. So are the outfielders.
No balls, 2 strikes to count. There's a couple of guys that are always expecting the ball to be hit to them. Rolen and Eckstein. Boy, got him with a breaking ball on 0-2. He has sat down 5 in a row. The Brewers go down 1-2-3. He couldn't handle that bender, could he? Scoreless ball game, St. Louis. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Chevy, baseball's #1 fan, Chevy, an American Revolution. Both these pitchers are like little kids. They're always chomping at the bit to get going as he chomps on his, what's that, an ice cream sandwich at the ballpark. Moves to the sippy cup. What we mean by that is Ben Sheets. He gets working. He's ready to go. Jeff Suppan, he does the same thing, and it's just what you talked about, Lou, as we patronize our sponsors and talk about the things that the sponsors do for us. Sheets and Suppan stand and wait until they're given the cue.
And they throw strike 1 and strike 2. Notice last inning, Suppan threw that 2-0 breaking ball. Didn't even waste a pitch.
Fastball, right field, base hit, and there within lies the success of Preston Wilson of late. Let's get an update. Let's go on out to Jeannie Zelasco. She's got a game break. Jeannie?
And here come fighting Phil's top 2. Mike Lieberthal gets one right by Hanley Ramirez. Look out, because here comes Ryan Howard. It's a struggle for him, but the throw is way off, and they're within 1. Next batter, Abraham Nunez, single to center. Guess what? Tie ball game. Base is loaded. Now it's actually 3-2 Phillies, bottom 2.
Last minute, Jeannie added a run there. Phillies fans like that one. 3-2 the score. Big Ryan Howard. That's kind of like Prince Fielder at first base. Throughout the year, many a defender has either gotten knocked over or gotten out of the way of Fielder. Howard's a big guy chugging on home.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a catcher. Big Howard trying to lumber in and score a run. Close play.
But before we went out to Jeannie Zelasco, Preston Wilson showing us why he's been a little bit more of a force. Whether it's a change in uniform, a change in approach, maybe a guy like Hal McRae really got through to Preston Wilson. Scott Rolen lifted, shallow left center field. And there is one away. Let's take a look at the Avidart in-game box score. You'll see Preston Wilson in that box score pitching in. You'll see a handful of those ball players for the Cardinals pitching in, but what you don't see is a run or an RBI. As Edmonds digs in here again is what we're looking at. Jeff Suppan, don't forget, he had an infield single as well. No runs for the Cardinals, no runs for the Brewers. Is it as simple, Lou, going back to Wilson, sometimes a change of scenery can change your approach?
Well, it helps you. You got released by an organization. You've got something to prove. Possibly the things that you were doing in Houston weren't working quite as well. New hitting coach, new approach. I've got to impress some people. He's trying to get a jump over there to steal a base.
You're right, he had a huge lead right there.
You can see him leaning a little bit. Oops. Well, Sheets gives you that big leg kick. So you can get a pretty good jump off him if you read him. And that's exactly what Wilson was trying to do.
And again, the Brewers employ that big shift, Lou, that surprises you and many that see the Brewers this year, to pull on the infield, but the other way in the outfield.
Well, big hole over there at third base. Edmonds chooses to go that way. There's a steal.
Oh, boy, did you call it.
Got a huge jump. Huge jump. No chance at all.
Here's the jump you're talking about.
Yeah, just a huge jump, and there was no chance for the catcher Rivera to throw him out. Just held on to the ball.
9 stolen bases against Ben Sheets this year, just 1 thrown out. Classic power pitcher. Gotta help the catcher out, though. Edmonds, 1 hop right to the gut of Graffinino.
Well, you hold that base runner a little bit, and that's an easy double play ball.
Well, he's not a great point that gets overlooked. Now they're runners at third. Here's Ronnie Belliard. Back in 2002, the Brewers organization and Ronnie Belliard were arm in arm. In other words, they both hit rock bottom. Ronnie hit 211, Milwaukee lost 106, and they both have been rising from the dust since. Belliard, at every stop in Colorado and Cleveland, has hit 275 or better, and here in St. Louis as well, and the Brewers organization has started to turn it around. But a situation much like with Wilson at third, where divorce was the best thing. Belliard really changed his approach. The one thing, Lou, that we do know is he doesn't like to take many pitches, does he?
Well, he's a very aggressive hitter. Most of these Latin kids are very aggressive with the bat. And Belliard's got a little pop, too. I mean, you throw the ball in his zone, he can hit you out of the ballpark. Did a nice job with Cleveland.
And if you can't walk into the same clubhouse and play and watch Albert Pujols, who is a countryman, and learn, then you're in big trouble. I would imagine all the guys, it's like when Greg Maddux is on a team, they say you learn from him. These guys probably all learn from Albert.
Especially the approach to hitting that Albert has. Now, you're not going to be as strong. You're not going to be as quick. You're not going to have his natural physical abilities, but you can really see his approach up at home plate, how he lays off bad pitches.
All on the backhand. He has an outstanding arm. He fires it on across. Ben Sheets tossing a shutout at the Cards. As we told you, Jeff Suppan is ready to go. David Bell, Mike Rivera, Ben Sheets for the Milwaukee Brewers. Hot shot. There is the Gold Glove caliber third baseman, firing on across. Just a moment ago, we had a chance to talk with Tony La Russa. The first question we asked him about is the effectiveness of Ben Sheets for the Brewers.
Pretty good today.
Well, he's got all kind of talent, Lou, and once he gets in a groove, he's got so many weapons. You know, he moves his fastball right. He can really wear you out with high fastball, got a good curveball. He hasn't used change much, but he has one of those too.
Tony, are your guys staying relaxed in what has turned into a tight race?
Yeah, you know, it's been that kind of year for us. It's just it's been a hard year. We're good, we're not so good, but I think, you know, we're going about it great today, and we'll see if we can break through against Sheets, and hopefully Soup keeps holding them out.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Spoken very comfortably, like a man who has nearly 2,300 victories in the major leagues, huh, Lou?
Well, he's just had so much success. Future Hall of Fame manager.
Rivera pops it up. Albert Pujols onto the grass. 2 outs.
I remember when I played with Tony back in Tampa, American Legion, Pony League ball. He was always a studious type player on the field, so it doesn't surprise me that he's had such great success at the managerial level. Third all time, 2,296 wins. Boy, that's really something to be proud of.
I would agree with you, and the thing you have to remind yourself when you think maybe the Cardinals were panicking this week is there's a lot of losses that go with those wins as well. So as a manager, you have to learn how to win and lose, correct?
The toughest job I think a manager has is not to let the job consume you. You got to be able to leave it at the ballpark, and the guys that do find a release of sorts. Whether it's fishing, whether it's playing a little golf, whether it's exercising, I think they respond a lot better.
So you're leading me to believe that you left it at the ballpark.
Well, it was hard on me. Yes, you know, it's do as I say, not as I do.
I understand. And Tony certainly said in his ways maybe advice that can be consumed by a younger manager like Ned Yost we saw just a moment ago. It's a minor victory. Ben Sheets has put the ball in play twice this afternoon.
Been working.
Well, miracles never cease. Will anyone ever pick up an RBI? We'll see. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Baby Ruth from Nestle. Savor the official candy bar of Major League Baseball. By Bank America, higher standards. And by the auto parts experts at AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Now, who's going to blink? I mean, whoever blinks first might win this game. Although, the team wearing those beautiful white uniforms, it means an awful lot more to the visiting team playing for pride in those navy blue tops. We'll hear from manager Ned Yost here in just a moment. The skipper of the Milwaukee Brewers. 1-1 to count. Yadier Molina, the pitcher on deck. Popped him up, right side. Prince Fielder says, I've got this baseball, and he's right. Manager Ned Yost talking about how his players, younger players, can learn from a playoff caliber series just like this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of fun. Everybody's watching, and you know, expectations are high in a series like this. So you know, there's a lot of electricity in the stands. There's a lot of electricity in the clubhouse. So it's a great experience.
Ned, you guys have had trouble against a crafty pitcher like Suppan.
You're right, Lou. What happens against a guy like Suppan is he doesn't beat himself. He commands his fastball. His secondary stuff is very, very good. He spots his pitches very well. A lot of times you can wait on a pitcher to make a mistake, and then you try to take advantage of it, but Jeff Suppan makes very few mistakes. So we got to try to get some guys on and see if we can't make something happen.
Well, that's the key. Both these pitchers really limiting their mistakes, aren't they?
Well, and both managers talking about the same thing, trying to get some runs on the board. You know, we got 41 or 2,000 people here at Busch Stadium.
And they'll clap for their pitcher, who is 2 for 2.
And they're waiting for something to happen. Again, Suppan really shortening up on his swing and just punches the ball through the shortstop hole. You know, they tried to hit and run the last time he was on base, so it's something, I guess, that you've got to be aware of and look for.
I mean, Ben Sheets is grinding up guys like Jim Edmonds, Scott Rolen, although Albert Pujols did get him, David Eckstein.
You know, sometimes as a pitcher, you go through the middle part of that lineup, you really bear down. And all of a sudden you get to the bottom part and you sigh a breath of relief, and you don't concentrate the same way.
A lot of pitchers will do that even with 2 outs. You know, you get bases loaded, you get that first out, that second out, then you have a 2-out letdown. Kind of a bottom of the order letdown is what you're talking about. But now it's back to the top of the order, and here's that hit and run again. David threw his bat at that baseball. It's a strike. And again, twice this afternoon, the wily old veteran Tony La Russa has given a shot at a hit and run involving his pitcher.
Well, Yost, what was Eckstein tried? Obviously, he was trying to protect his runner, but boy, that ball was in the catcher's glove before he got the bat out of his hand. It could almost be interpreted as interference.
Well, there's no doubt, because he threw that bat so very late as Rivera was coming up on the pitch out.
Well, Suppan was hung out to dry there. And here you see it again. Watch now. The catcher steps out. The ball's in his glove, and out comes the bat. It was really hitter's interference. But since the base runner was thrown out anyway, nothing was said.
David comes right back, actually uses the bat in his hands, and hits the ball into the corner. One final thought on that interesting play by Eckstein. He's a guy who leads with his heart. That time his heart, not his head, made him swing, but his head was on this one.
Really stayed down on that ball. Got on top of the fastball and drove it right into the corner.
But don't forget, it is that heart that he's standing out there at second base. That's the reason. Walked on it, the University of Florida, Eckstein. He basically, you could say, walked on to the big leagues too, begged his way here. Boston cut him loose. So you can't fault him for a couple of pitches ago with that heart, because it's the heart that's gotten it here.
Well, you put him on a field with 100 top athletes and you really wouldn't notice him all that much.
He'd be 101.
But now you put him on a baseball team in a demanding position like shortstop and in the leadoff spot, and he helps you win baseball games. And that's what counts.
Cardinals might be looking at a guy who can put up huge numbers. He's already put up big numbers in his rookie season. Because of his lack of playing time, maybe he's getting overlooked a bit for that Rookie of the Year race, but there is certainly an interesting comparison between the big drink of water in Chris Duncan and what Ryan Howard did last year. Talked about his strength, standing 6'5". As that pitch misses in, Howard, who races towards 60, had 22 last year. That's a fun comparison.
Very comparable numbers. But Duncan's worked hard. I've talked to Hal McRae about him a few times. And he's really worked on shortening the swing. And when you hit second in front of Pujols, you're always going to get good pitches to hit. Here he tries to go with the fastball, the left field out over the plate. Nice swing.
You gotta think, anytime you're taller too, there are just more hitches as you approach the baseball.
Well, you got longer arms. It's hard to extend on the ball. But I'll tell you what, when you put it together and you've got some good leverage, it's like a taller golfer. You can hit it a lot further.
Taller golfer hits it further. Taller pitcher throws it harder if you balance out that leverage.
Ernie Els, pretty good example.
Golf guy, huh?
Well, I try.
Pujols waits on deck. And again, the job of Chris Duncan is to know he's going to get a lot of strikes with Albert waiting. And again, to try to extend this inning. Good heat, 95 miles an hour. That car is all warmed up.
Yeah, it's purring. Really nice swing. Just missed it. 95 mile an hour fastball. Really good extension. Fouled it back.
Albert told me yesterday everything revolves around balance. He was balanced there, Chris Duncan. It's a breaking ball that never got down. Stayed up in the zone.
Probably better off that it stayed up. If this ball would have been down 6 inches or so, I think Duncan would have done some damage to it.
Boy, that picture told 1,000 words there.
Yeah, Duncan's a better low ball hitter. It's obvious.
8 pitch at bat so far. Been a good day for Chris Duncan. Curveball, he walked him. A walk in front of Albert Pujols. Let's take you back to the last at bat. Sheets beat Pujols when he flied to right field, Lou.
Well, he started him off with a breaking ball. That one there made him genuflect a little bit. Another breaking ball, and then gave him a fastball out over the plate, and Pujols missed it. But the reason he missed it is because he had been given a steady diet of 3 breaking balls, and when you do that, it makes the hitter aware, and you can get by with that fastball.
Well, the only base open now is third base, so that changes everything. Albert Pujols doubled off the right field wall back in the first inning. He flied to right in that matchup you saw a moment ago.
Well, that approach last at bat worked quite well. I think Sheets will go do it again. There's the breaking ball.
It's a very good one.
Yeah, but boy, when
good enough.
It's a right-hand bat instead of the left-hand bat, Duncan, and you're sitting on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball as a hitter.
He was sitting on it, but he hits it right back to the mound. Again, the breaking ball sets up the heat. Scoreless ball game. That means everything to the Cardinals. Well, a couple of situations for Albert Pujols. Lou, what'd you see?
Well, I'll tell you what, 2 times Sheets started off Pujols with the breaking ball, made him sit on the breaking ball, and then get him out with fastballs. You can see he hit that ball deeper in the zone as opposed to getting his bat hit out in front. Consequently, he grounded out to short. Good pitching.
What Lou means, obviously, there, if you're looking for a slower pitch, you're going to be much later on the ball. There's an interesting angle to what you're saying to me anyway, as Gwynn slaps it, Eckstein is there, and he makes the play for the out. Well, tomorrow goes from baseball to football, as tomorrow Fox NFL Sunday returns when the Cowboys look to put the drama behind them as they take on the Titans, or the Lions look for their first win as they battle the Rams right here in St. Louis, or other regional action. It all begins with America's #1 pregame show, live from Carolina at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. T.O. Oh no. Again. Seems like everything's all right.
Boy, I really enjoyed Parcells' press conference the other day. It didn't last very long.
Did you feel like you were looking in the mirror?
Well, I just enjoyed it.
I know, but I mean, you've been in those shoes before where you've had to address things, and now you're working on the other side of the microphone, for lack of better words. But there are times, I would imagine, when you did not embrace heading into that meeting with the media. Other times you might have loved it.
Well, one thing I have found out from being up here is that I enjoy asking the questions a lot more than answering.
Tony Graffinino, Jim Edmonds.
Boy, he makes it look easy, doesn't it? He is really smooth. This ball's hit pretty well. He's got it all the way. Makes it look easy right over the shoulder. Look at him. Look at the concentration. He's really got great hands also. Soft hands.
8 Gold Gloves 3 times. He went to the All-Star game. Prince Fielder walked. He has grounded out. Fielder working on those soft hands. Certainly will never be an athlete like Jim Edmonds, but that's the one thing that he has told Ned Yost, his manager, and those that have covered him all year long, is that I want to be considered a very, very good first baseman. Certainly a work in progress. I mean, little things like feeding the pitcher when he covers the bag. He's got the range, he's got the hands, but there are little things that show all of us that first base is not that easy.
Well, that's what you want to see from young players. Really improve their all-around game.
This time, though, he makes it easy for Ronnie Belliard, a former Brewer. Wow, this is an amazing pitcher's duel through 5.5 here at Busch. That is a great shot.
Good-looking young man. What's he eating?
He's got a dog without the bun. Buns are overrated. Into right field, down. A base hit. Wilson again using the whole diamond in this scoreless ball game. As we move on to the bottom of the 6th inning.
Well, nice swing here by Preston Wilson. Gets on top of a high fastball and drives it into right center field. Now remember, Wilson stole second very easily the last time out. Look at his eyes, look at his head. Right down on that ball.
Again, that brings us back to what Albert told us yesterday. If you're balanced at the plate, your head is still. That means your eyes are in the right place as well.
I totally agree.
I mean, a lot of moving parts. There are hitters with a lot of moving parts, but when that pitch comes home, you need to be locked in, don't you?
You need to be locked in, but you need balance. Everything happens with balance. You can see it in tennis when you return 105 or 10-mile-an-hour serve. You've got to have balance to do that. It starts with your feet, works all the way up through your body.
It's been a battle for Rolen since mid-September. 8 for his last 42, just a homer and 4 RBIs on a 191 clip. This weekend has proven, though, to be a little bit of an awakening for Scott. And as you said earlier, Lou, maybe just in time for these Cardinals.
Sheets doing a nice job here of holding the ball. Wilson wants to run.
I mean, that's a form of a pickoff move, just standing there, correct?
Well, it really plays with the base runner. It keeps you from really getting a jump. That inside move at second base, holding the ball. You know, a lot of those are called right from the bench. to the catcher relays them to the pitcher. There are a lot of things a pitcher can do to play with a base runner's timing.
Preston has 10 stolen bases. There he goes. The throw by Rivera high. He swiped it. Had 10 coming in to check myself. Has number 11 and 12 in this game.
Again, a really good jump. The catcher Rivera with a strong throw. It was wide, but he wouldn't have gotten the base runner anyway. What you want to see now from your hitter, and here you see Wilson that hit first slide. I was a little surprised looking at it that possibly there wasn't a pitch out.
Well, they did everything else, and this is something the Brewers have done a lot this year, especially in the second half. They changed signs quite a bit. Now it's natural initially to do so when the base runner first gets to second, but they'll go through one batter change, another batter change. Got to be careful that you don't mess with the pace of the game. Sheets is a guy that loves to work fast. Tried to go with the high fastball. Now,
and Rolen trying to go to right field with that ball.
Trying to move him over. When you hit, Lou, and you played, and even when you managed, how much did you see that high fastball where catchers come out of their squat like that?
I've never seen that as much as today. I just really don't understand it. I think that if you just put your glove up instead of coming out of your squat, you're going to be more effective.
Speaking of effective, a breaking ball and strike 3. And a very good one.
And a very good one is right. Ball had a lot of rotation to it down in the zone, but you can see the hitter just pulls his head. Watch him pull his head. He got out to his front side too quick, and when that happens, your bat doesn't stay in the strike zone as long, and consequently you swing over the pitch.
While we're talking about approaches, Mr. Unique here is Jim Edmonds. He takes a breaking ball for a strike. Like Albert Pujols, there is no stride at all. He tries to stay as quiet as he can. Spins on that front foot just a little bit, and that's it.
It's hard to do. I wouldn't teach it to young kids. Now he does get back as the pitch is thrown, but it's a hard approach. Not easy to hit that spread out. He's got to get some weight shift to get to his front side. But I would prefer stride out a little bit. Go get the ball with your front foot. Now, if I were teaching, that's what I would do.
Well, Edmonds admits, and here's what you're talking about. He admits he wouldn't teach anyone to do it.
Yeah, it's a hard approach. Notice there's no stride at all. But he's had a lot of success.
I'll say. And big power to left center field through that Brewers bullpen. That's his power alley, not pulling it. Got him with an off-speed pitch, and it gets by Rivera. Everybody's safe. And sometimes at this point in the season, it may be better to be lucky than good.
Well, that's a big break for St. Louis. Sheets with a really, really, really good curveball. Starts him off with a breaking ball. Paints the outside corner with a fastball. Another breaking ball. And then just a biter. Really a tough play for the catcher. He tried to stay in front of it, but just couldn't.
So strikeout and a wild pitch. That wild pitch also pushing Preston Wilson to third. A sweet revenge. Former Brewer Ronnie Belliard cut loose a couple of years ago by the club. Pops up the bunt.
Good try. You know, in a situation like that, if you can just push the ball by the pitcher, you're going to get a run in, and you can advance your runner to second base at first. And that's what Belliard was trying to do there. Although, you don't really want to attempt the bunt at that high fastball. That's a tough pitch to bunt at.
St. Louis hitless with runners in scoring position, 0 for 7 this afternoon. You can bet your bottom dollar what Ben Sheets desires. That's a strikeout here.
Well, Belliard's trying to pull this pitch, and that's a pitch in a situation like this with fielder holding the base runner Edmonds, you've got a big hole over there. Try to shoot the ball to right field. It's going to be hard to turn a double play that way anyway.
Just in case, Ben takes a look at third, bluffs over to first. Sheets with 6 strikeouts. And throughout his career, 8 strikeouts per 9 innings of work. So he is, as Lou said early in the game, a power pitcher and a guy who can look to the K when he needs it right here.
He's got 95 pitches as we speak.
A breaking ball hung out over the plate, and we'll do it one more time. No balls and 2 strikes.
And you can see the hitter Belliard here has a different approach. He's trying to go out the right field with this pitch. Loses his bat.
.272, you can't beat that.
That's a good percentage.
Boy, Mike Rivera is interesting, the catcher for the Brewers. Took a walk out to the mound to talk to Ben Sheets and was hesitant all the way back, like he had one more thing on his mind that he wanted to say, but now he goes back behind the plate.
Well, when you're not sure, it's good to confer.
Nice job. You better be ready for that breaking ball in the dirt if you're Mike. 1-2 the count.
Well, he hasn't given Belliard a good fastball to hit in this sequence at all. Stayed with the breaking ball exclusively.
Sheets shakes off the heat. He's coming with the curveball on 1-2. He got him. He got him. A huge strikeout there, and Rivera that time was ready. Walk us through this at bat, Mr. Piniella.
Well, again, the high fastball to start the sequence, and then a steady stream of breaking balls. Not really a good approach by the hitter Belliard, trying to pull some of those pitches. You need contact in that situation, and the best way to make contact is to go the other way with the ball, especially with the breaking pitches that he was getting.
He said it several times, didn't he?
But I'll tell you what, maybe that's what he was trying to do. Sometimes it's just hard to do. That's why good pitching will get hitting out.
All right, no 2-out letdowns if you're Sheets. Breaking ball up in the zone. 0-1 to count. Yadier Molina. Molina last year hit .252. I mean, that is fine for what he does defensively. Rookie year, .267 again. They need a little bit more than .217.
Well, his brother Benji can swing the bat really, really well with the Toronto Blue Jays. Last year with the California Angels. If I were...
You saw the call was for curveball. Bell, Raffanino, and Sheets works out of it. Had a runner on second with nobody out. We're still scoreless. Let's return right after these messages from your local Fox station. Here goes Jeff Suppan to work here in the 7th inning against Bill Hall. He hates the outside corner. Strike 1. Second half, as we talked about, a 2.37 ERA for Suppan. He got knocked around last time out against San Diego. A good tight slider runs the count to 1-1. It's getting late, Lou. Things are tightening up a bit.
Well, somebody's got to score here. I sort of tend to think that somebody's going to hit one out of the ballpark. Usually that's what happens in these type of ball games.
Suppan's given up 21 this year in 31 starts. That's not an alarming number at all. That's a very low total. Sheets 9 in 16 starts. Hitters count 2-1 to Billy. They had him positioned perfectly. Let's take a look at our game summary brought to you by our good friends with Flomax. When you're talking about this game, there's no hitters to talk about. It's all pitchers.
Well, we're talking about, what, 7 hits by the Cardinals, only 2 by the Brewers.
And 12 in a row now sat down by Jeff Suppan.
He's got a low pitch count, 73, 74 pitches here in the 7th inning.
As we get later in this game, a little bit of irony as Jeff Jenkins takes strike one, because last start for Suppan against Milwaukee, that is 2 starts ago, he went 7 shutout innings. It was like this a 0-0 ball game, and Jeff Jenkins won it in the bottom of the 9th with a home run.
Well, he's really doing a nice job of painting that outside corner. Really good command.
Again with Boston in '95, started to figure it out in Kansas City. Jeff Suppan. He put up 200 innings a year for 4 straight years. And it's hard to stay back on a pitch like that.
Well, you get 2 fastballs, all of a sudden you're sitting on it, and here you get that little lazy curveball. Hitter just can't wait on it, especially when you have that big high leg kick that Jenkins got.
And compare Jenkins, folks, to what you were watching earlier with Edmonds. Up and down he goes.
I like the idea of a leg kick to get your bat started. Gathers your weight on that backside. Sometimes it gets too big and too pronounced, and you really don't have timing. Boy, does he have an uppercut swing.
Suppan trying to put another one on the ground. That's really his bread and butter when he's on this game. That one is in, and this afternoon pretty much the same. He struck out a pair. Got 9 groundouts, 7 flyouts today.
Well, that's his game. He's not going to strike out too many. Get ground balls.
There's that slow curveball again. I guess the key with that stride is as much as the foot comes up, you've got to have it down.
You've got to have it down. You've got to have it down so that you can get that bat hit through the hitting area. If not, you're going to be late on it. And that's why with this type of style, if you can go occasionally to the other side, left field.
You threw him a change up there.
It keeps your timing.
Where's Uncle Tommy? Where's Mr. Lasorda? He has a message for all of us.
Watch the postseason on Fox. It's October. It's your duty, Judy.
Well, Uncle Tommy always has a message of sorts.
Well, Uncle Tommy, as I called him as a ball player's kid running around the locker room in Vero Beach in spring training, he'd always approach me and say, "Hey, throw your head back and say, I love Uncle Tommy." I'd do it. Away to Corey Hart. Nice job, by the way. You talk about up, down with that foot by Jenkins. He got it down, and he wasn't out front of a changeup.
And remember, early in the ball game, he went to left field. Keeps you on the ball longer. That's why he's had a good September.
Hot shot, center field, base hit, Corey Hart. The big, long, lanky one dialed it all together. He and Chris Duncan similar in their approach.
Good swing here by Hart. Goes right up the middle. Gets a fastball out over the plate.
And now a man playing with a little bit more passion right now, I think. Andy Motion, David Bell, he watches his old club, the Philadelphia Phillies, but he also has part of his heart with his dad, Buddy Bell, Royals manager, who had surgery to have a growth removed from his tonsils recently, and everything went well. A load off of David.
Well, it should be a load off.
I know you had a chance to catch up with him before the game.
Yeah, and I said, look, David, how's your dad doing? I really respect Buddy Bell, his dad. Great player, good manager with the Royals, but more important, a really good human being. I just wanted to make sure that he relayed Buddy that we were thinking about him and praying for him.
He wanted to go visit his dad, had that surgery last week in Arizona. His dad said, go to work. Go to work. That's what I want you to do.
And knowing Buddy the way I do, doesn't surprise me one bit.
0-2 the count on Bell. And on the day that his father had the procedure done, he had the game-winning RBI.
Well, that's going to work.
No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Bell 0 for 2 today. He's riding an 8-game hitting streak right now.
You know, when David hits the ball to right center field, I know he likes to pull more than anything else, but he's a much better hitter.
Well, there you go.
He's trying to go the other way there with 2 strikes. Stays inside this ball well.
David played for you back in Seattle in 01, that special team that won 116 regular season games.
Did a nice job. Really solid at third base with the glove. Got some big timely hits.
No balls, 2 strikes and count. Down the line, but foul. Then the next year, as fate would have it, David Bell moved to San Francisco and again had a special year as he worked for Dusty Baker that season, all the way to the World Series, that Game 7 loss to the Angels. But as that young lady is proud of her catch, and Dad's going to get a photo to never forget. 2 very good years in a row for David Bell. And picture this. He has a chance now to make a difference in a scoreless game.
That was a good block by Molina. It really was.
Was he almost
tough pitch to
standing up?
handle. He sure was. Good hands. Really good movement. He shifted his weight over, kept his head down.
He
looked like a shortstop.
I was going to say second baseman.
Yeah.
That's what he looked like. So 1-2 the count. It's a warm day, by the way. Throughout the Midwest, things were cooling down throughout the week, talking about 40s, 50s, 60s, and the 70s today. Good pitchers weather, good baseball weather. Everything's quieted down a bit. This crowd trying to wear their red and get behind the men in red. Bell into left field. Over, under, Wilson. 2 outs.
Well, they start to get to Suppan a little bit. They're having better at bats. They're hitting the ball a little more solid. When you're a contact pitcher like that, and you go through the lineup a few times, it's that 3rd and 4th time, it makes it a little easier for the hitters to adjust.
Well, the averages go up a bit. Suppan first time through, opponents hit 260. By the time you get to 3rd time through, it's up to 281. And the meeting on the mound is done. Mike Rivera, he's an interesting story. Damian Miller, Brewers regular catcher, hasn't caught since September 20th, specifically because Milwaukee looking for catching help. They want to know if this guy could be the guy next year.
He was an independent fine, wasn't he? Independent league?
I mean, he's a year removed from bouncing around Atlantic City, not pulling the slots, but playing baseball, independent league baseball.
How about that? Catcher for the San Francisco Giants.
Outside, 1-0 the count.
Also independent league. Goes to show you that these scouts, they're all over the place looking for talent.
Eliezer Alfonso.
Exactly.
With Ben Sheets on deck, Ned Yost cranks that bullpen up just in case he needs to hit for him. Jose Kepion is warming. There's a slider outside, 2-0 the count. He's tempting him, isn't he?
Well, he's not giving in to him, but boy, that 8th hitter, somebody in this situation, you'd like to see a pitcher just go after. That's why he's hitting 8th.
Well, and if you're Mike, what do you have to do here, Lou? Expand your strike zone a little bit?
I think so.
He's not going after him at all. 3-0 the count. I mean, they got together before, Molina and Suppan, and now we know what they were talking about. This is a double move, I think, for Tony La Russa. You get Rivera on, you go with the pinch hitter, and you get Ben Sheets out of the game. With that move, Tony La Russa has removed Ben Sheets from the game. But can the Brewers cash in?
Well, I wasn't that smart as a manager.
Well, I don't
to make that type
now
of
wait
move.
a minute. Now wait a minute. 1,519 wins. I think you're plenty small.
I think my preference would have been to get that 8th hitter out and take my chances one more inning with Ben Sheets. Base hit here really makes it tough on St. Louis.
Well, and they go with the wily old veteran, a man who in a Brewers uniform stands at 999 hits. Jeff Cirillo. You know, he disappeared for a couple of years. Lou really struggled in San Diego, struggled in Seattle, and he has really rediscovered himself last 2 years in Milwaukee.
Well, he feels comfortable with the Brewers. That's where he started. That's where he's had success. And he's hitting over 300. This is the type of hitter that a pitcher or a hitter like Cirillo should handle. Not too overpowering. Cirillo goes to right field with the ball quite well.
So Jeff Cirillo hits for Ben Sheets. The Brewers do not have a grand slam all year long. Travis Hafner of the Indians, he's got 6.
And the ball carries quite well over at Miller Park. That's surprising.
It does. Cirillo is certainly not a home run hitter, his teammates call him. Right now, they want to call him Mr. Clutch. This crowd into it. Base is loaded.
Tony's got nobody warming up.
1-0. It's a bold move, really, if you think about it.
Well, that's a setup pitch right there for Suppan, the pitcher. Up and in. Empty bullpen, as you can see.
Jeff with 1 grand slam in his big league career. On the corner, he doubled up on it. Went in off the plate, back in for a strike.
Good fastball, a little movement on it. You can see Molina does a nice job of framing that pitch.
You said it too. That was a setup pitch, that first pitch. Outfield, infield, just about straight up. Cirillo down the line, foul ball.
Well, Cirillo's one of the few hitters that Suppan has stayed inside on all 3 pitches. Practice bat. Need a little lumber.
So the wily vet, as Jeff Jenkins at third, he singled. Corey Hart at second, he singled. Mike Rivera was walked.
Well, Cirillo doesn't strike out very much, so he should put the ball in play.
I mean, there have been a lot of great names. Yount, Cooper, Molitor. With a minimum of 500 bats, the best hitter in Brewers history average-wise is Jeff Cirillo.
We're talking about some pretty good hitters there.
Soup is what they're saying. Slowly, one by one, they ease out of their seats. Bases loaded, the 1-2. On the ground into center field, base hit. 1 run is in. Corey Hart shooting on around. The throw from Edmonds is not in time. Milwaukee leads it 2-0. And Jeff Cirillo with his 1,000th hit as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers is a huge one.
Well, Suppan stayed with the fastball through 4 of them. That one there, he got out over the plate a little bit. And we talked about the fact that Jeff doesn't strike out very much, and he hits it right back up the middle. A big clutch 2-out hit. Edmonds, nice job of charging the ball. Good strong throw to home plate. Wasn't in time. This is why I said that you're really taking a chance walking that 8th hitter. I would rather go after the 8th hitter than I would a pinch hitter coming up.
Get the ball for me, would you?
Yeah, I will.
You could hear a moment ago Jeff, who's wearing a microphone today, said, "Can you get that ball for me?" to Davey Nelson. As a member of the Brewers, he's over 1,500 in his major league career. Obviously had stops in Colorado, Seattle, and in San Diego as well. But all of a sudden,
a nice smile on his face. Good day's work.
He had some tough times when he played under your watchful eye, Lou. I mean, he really will tell you he disappeared.
Well, he struggled with the bat, but to his credit, he always played very well at third base defensively.
2-0, Milwaukee leads it. You can hear a pin drop, by the way. Let's listen again to Jeff Cirillo as he arrived at first base.
Hey, hey, get the ball for me, would you?
Yeah, I will.
1,000th base hit as a Brewer.
He knew it. Were you the kind of player that said, "Oh, I don't know when things happen," or did you literally not know?
I think players know.
Yeah.
Media will let you know. Just so many different statistics in baseball today.
You have a favorite? Of the new statistics, you like OPS, on base plus slugging percentage?
How about that?
How about whip?
How about whip? What is whip?
It's a Debo song, big in the 80s. I mean, it was a really good song.
Whip it good, you mean? Whip it?
Yes! I love it, Lou. Boy, that's a good pitch right there. 3-1 the count. I think Suppan thought he had thrown strike 2.
Well, you can see it. These Brewers have been getting better at bats at Suppan this inning. They're taking more pitches that are closer in the count, in the zone.
Runners on first and second. Milwaukee up 2-0. It goes outside this time. The count is full.
Yeah, making better contact. He's a good pitcher's pitch here, and young Gwynn does a nice job of just taking it. He's going to get another one. Now you have the base runners running, scoring a base hit. They're very shallow in the outfield for young Gwynn.
And not much power.
The base runner running at second base. They'll score on the single.
Looks a little bit like Daddy, but sounds just like him when he talks. Runners go. Gwynn, right center field. Edmonds over. Under. Got it. But Jeff Cirillo with a huge blow. We know you're watching Houston and Atlanta, and the Brewers lead at 2-0. Glad to have you back. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Flomax, by Holiday Inn, the official hotel of Major League Baseball, and by GMC, engineered to the highest standard, professional grade. Well, one pinch hitter to another, one veteran to another. Jeff Suppan is done. Ben Sheets is done. The key figures in this game. Jose Vizcaíno, who really extended his career the last few years with the Astros, coming off the bench. Trying to do the same here with the St. Louis Cardinals. Another Jose, hard thrower Jose Capion, now charged with throwing a couple outs on that board. First pitch swinging. That's a long run for Hart. He's there, nearly overruns him. One pitch, one out. Boy, you like those.
Yeah, you like those quick outs, especially when you bring a reliever into the ball game. Vizcaíno, a little bit surprising. Swung at a borderline strike, and they're playing him over to left field, and Hart made a nice running catch on that ball.
Johnson, the left-hander, warming in the bullpen. The Roosters got a boatload of relievers when they expanded that roster. 3 left-handers as well. Here's David Eckstein. Capion, when he's on, fastball, mid-90s, and a good slider to work off of him.
Yeah, when you start talking about expanding rosters in September baseball, the better your farm system is, it really helps your Major League ball club out in September win more baseball games.
Isn't that the truth? 97 miles an hour. Capion acquired a couple of years ago after Dan Kolb had that breakout year for Milwaukee. The Braves last year needed a closer. They acquired Kolb. They sent youngster Capion to Milwaukee. Kolb struggled. He's now back with Milwaukee. Capion is growing into a guy who could be a closer someday. Eckstein. Raffanino over to fielder. Right now, let's get an update out in Southern California. Here's Jeannie Zelasco with a game break.
And we have the Phillies making a move in Florida. Of course, Ryan Howard is leading the charge. No, it's not a home run, but the single scores Shane Victorino. Howard's Major League leading 148th RBI. Makes it 4-3 Phillies, and check out the D for Mr. Rollins. Thinking wild card, 4-3 Phillies, top 5.
Well, they've got to win, and they need help, but they're trying to do their part, Lou.
They've done a nice job here in September, getting back in the race.
And Suppan did his part, too. I mean, that's a quality start.
Really good pitching performance. He's done his job.
Tell you what, Capion throwing as hard as folks have seen him throw all year long. Usually 94, 95. He's touched 97 and 96. Maybe he's got that network fever today, pitching on national television.
Well, it seems like he throws a pretty heavy ball. Both hitters. Vizcaino and Eckstein, the ball stayed on their bat a little bit. Good fastball. Over on the outside corner.
Sheets went 6 shutout innings, struck out 7. Slider is high.
Well, he's throwing an easy 95 or 96 too. Not putting that much effort into it. The ball's getting up there in a hurry.
Played to pull on the infield, outfield, a step or two the other way. And that just missed.
Well, you want to put Duncan. You want to make Duncan put the ball in play here. You got Pujols on deck. Sheets had good success with him, but I wouldn't want to take my chances 3 times in the ball game.
Prone to the long ball. Capion works 3-2. Instead, it's a ground ball. Right to Graffinino. 1-2-3 go the St. Louis Cardinals. Are you watching this game, Astros, in Atlanta? It's an interesting one. Well, a left-hander going to work as the Brewers lead the Cardinals 2-0. Left-hander Tyler Johnson, 25 years old and a Missouri native. And for the 55th time this year, he goes to work, and right away, Tony Graffinino goes down the line, doesn't have home run distance, and it is fouled. Graffinino this afternoon 0 for 3. This is a guy that had postseason experience early in his career with the Atlanta Braves. Last year with the Boston Red Sox. Jeff Suppan is left to wonder what might have been.
Usually you see starting pitchers, when they're taken out of the ball game, leave, go back into the clubhouse. But Jeff's a good team player. Here he is on the bench, rooting his teammates on.
Graffinino is retired. From Graffinino to Cirillo, it's time for the Holiday Inn Look Again play of the game. Brought to you by Holiday Inn, the official hotel of Major League Baseball. Career hit as a Brewer, number 1,000 for Jeff Cirillo. Certainly turned out to be a big one. I bet you clap your hands because of that hit. It is 2-0. Prince Fielder's been quiet this afternoon. He has walked. And the young man, this is a good challenge for him here late in the season, Lou, to go lefty on lefty.
Well, last night, lefty on lefty hit a ball over that over the right center field wall.
I knew you'd go there because you watched that entire game last night.
I enjoyed it. Great place to watch a ball game from here at Busch Field, Busch Stadium.
Oh boy, they had the energy going last night. Tomahawk chopping as they knew the Braves had defeated the Astros. 1-2 the count, but today a little bit more quiet. Although they thought this pitch might have been a strike, that last one. Today, again, it turns the volume back down. They're dying to get something going. They can't really lean on what's going on in Atlanta scoreboard watching. The game's later on tonight. Houston, a game and a half back in Atlanta. Slider, high slider, but a strikeout. 2 outs.
Johnson's got a really, really nice late breaking slider. Big break on that ball.
All right, Lou, you managed the 1995 Seattle Mariners as they, as you see Looper getting loose, Braden Looper in the pen, as you guys caught and passed Marcel Latchman's Angels. Right now, Phil Garner is in your shoes in a sense. What kind of atmosphere did you keep with your guys in Seattle?
Nice and loose. That's what a manager can do. Try to shoulder the pressure on your own shoulders. make it comfortable for the players. Let them know that you have confidence in them. Let them know that our job is to win a baseball game today. We can't control anything else. But you let the players play.
And then they will play and watch this game tonight. Chris Sampson against Lance Cormier. Third career start for Sampson.
Two young pitchers going at it in Atlanta.
And this game's fun when the game comes down to back to the wall games for certain teams, and you send your kids out there. John Lackey years ago in the World Series back in '02. That one is high. 3-1 the count since the 18th of September. Just 3 wins for the St. Louis Cardinals. 3. They were 3-9. This man on the mound, Tyler Johnson, has one of them. Jeff Weaver has the other 2. That's it.
Been a rough stretch for St. Louis.
3-2 the count. He fires a fastball at the knees.
Yeah, about a week, 10 days ago, they looked like shoo-ins to win the division.
They had a 7-game lead on top of Cincinnati. It was Cincinnati that was in second. Houston found themselves even further back. Houston's won 9 of 10 though. Really trying to go to right. Johnson, part of that bullpen that obviously he grabbed the win along the way, but as you can see, since the 3rd week of September, that bullpen scuffled.
Well, when you lose your closer, and that's just about the time that this thing happened, it creates a domino effect in your bullpen. People out there just don't perform. You've got to use them in situations where you haven't used them before.
He lost in ball 4.
I was talking to Bobby Cox when I did an Atlanta game just a couple weeks ago. What a big difference since he's gotten Wickman over there. Earlier in the year, he didn't have that closer. Unsettled bullpen situation creates a lot of problems for a manager and for a baseball team.
You might be able to lose your left-handed specialist. You might be able to lose your long man, but I have learned covering this game now that you cannot lose your closer.
To me, to win now, that's the most important component. Take Mariano Rivera away from the New York Yankees.
For a time they did this year, and there was certainly in flux. Guys like Kyle Farnsworth were trying to do the job and out of his role.
You're right, and we're talking about good professional pitchers that have had a lot of success, but they're not pitching in roles that they're familiar with, and it causes a domino effect in that bullpen. The same, you look at your lineup. Boy, when your 4th hitter is hitting well and it's functioning, the rest of the guys pick it up offensively. But boy, your big guy in your lineup is struggling, puts more pressure on everybody else. So, and the closer to me in that bullpen is the key component.
1-0 the count. Darren and Lou with you in a 2-0 Brewers lead here at Busch Stadium. Jenkins drives it left center field. Wilson to his knees. He makes the play for the out. Not the best read, but as long as you can read, you'll get back in that dugout. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Pepsi Complete. Turn a fast and long-lasting double play against heartburn by WebMD, America's health site, and by Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball. And speaking of Pepsi, the official soft drink of MLB is proud to present this Pepsi clutch performance. It was Clay Meredith on the mound. It was a 2-1 San Diego lead, and Albert changed that quickly. A 3-run homer. The losing streak was over, and a very comforting feeling to see him with the bat in his hand and batting 3rd. And this is a fun matchup.
425 feet into that upper deck in left field.
When he hits them, they stay hit, and it's always been that way. Right field, good fastball. Jenkins plays so deep, and he can't make the play. I guess with Pujols hitting, you play deep anyway, but Jeff and those entire group of Milwaukee Brewers outfielders have all played very deep.
Well, you can see the difference. St. Louis outfielders play a lot shallower.
Credit to Pujols, though. Single and a double today.
Well, you've got the meat of St. Louis lineup coming up here in the 8th inning. This is the time to get it done offensively.
Wilson, 2 for 3 today. A couple of singles, a strikeout looking. Again, as we told you early on, Encarnacion has electric stuff on the mound, but he is, and will be, I would imagine, until he changes a few things, prone to the home run.
That was a late breaking slider. Hung on the inside part of the plate before they hit it.
Not a pretty one again.
That ball there looked a little high out of the strike zone.
Agreed. And there you see it. It ends up at the belt. Hitters hate that pitch because that's a mistake pitch, and you still get a strike. That was not.
3 straight breaking balls. Yes. Never threw a fastball in that sequence. That one there was in a good location.
Scott Rolen, part of that 5 through 8 roll for the St. Louis Cardinals. Lefty is Schaus, a journeyman left-hander, and Cordero came over the Carlos Lee trade. He's been very effective in the 9th for Milwaukee, but Ned Yost has not been shy about more than an inning's worth of work to pick up a save. But the 5 through 8 hitters, starting here with Scott Rolen today, 0 for 12.
Well, Roland's got 7 home runs, 7th inning or later.
That's down the line. It's going to hit that short wall, which means Hart has a long way to go. He comes in, shoots it to Graffinino. Runners on 2nd and 3rd. Now, what does Ned Yost do? He's got the lefty warming. Here comes the left-handed batter.
You got first base open. You hate to put the winning run on base.
Good fastball, hard down and in, as you saw a moment ago, and Rolen turned it right around. And here comes skipper Ned Yost for the Brewers.
Good percentage move here if he brings in his left-hander.
And he just made the move to go to the southpaw in the bullpen. The Cardinals have life. Here comes Schaus. It's 2-0. Well-traveled veteran Brian Schaus takes the baseball. Left-handed specialist with Jim Edmonds hitting just 156 against lefties. Tony La Russa says, Ned Yost. You're going to see Juan Encarnacion, 280 overall, but 316 against left-handed pitching.
Yeah, it's a good counter move by Tony La Russa. I would walk Encarnacion here and bring in my closer to try to get a double play.
Oh, and there you have it. You know, Lou, you might be pretty good at this manager thing someday.
Well, you hate to put the winning run on base, especially late in the ball game, but Schaus is just a left-handed specialist, tough on left-hand hitters with a side winding approach. Right-hand hitter can really pick up the ball well off of him.
I guess it's just a chess game because Schaus obviously, could have, or I should say Yost could have left Encarnacion in there to walk Edmonds. This is it. Schaus will, I would imagine, issue that intentional walk, and Ned Yost is going to bring his closer in here with the bases loaded and 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. We'll step aside. There is a double switch involved. We'll reset all of it when we come back. The man they call Coco is all warmed up. Hard-throwing right-hander Francisco Cordero, who finally, in a Brewers uniform, blew a save. He is 16 of 17 pitching for Milwaukee, and it was a couple of days ago at Wrigley Field. These are the numbers overall this season. The key figure in the Carlos Lee trade with Texas. He's got electric stuff, Lou Piniella.
He's got an outstanding fastball and a good hard slider.
Brady Clark is now in right field for Jeff Jenkins. Clark bats ninth. The pitcher spot for the Milwaukee Brewers is now in the 6 hole. Or check that, the 5 hole. Bases loaded, 1 out. Cordero, fellow countryman Ronnie Belliard. Fastball, strike 1.
Well, he just pounded that fastball at the knees. Outside corner.
Got the slider as well. There it is. It's fouled off. No balls and 2 strikes to count.
Well, Belliard chases the ball way out of the zone there. Now he's got to hit defensively with 2 strikes. I would expect if he gets Belliard out that Molina won't hit. You've got Spezio on your bench. You've got Rodriguez.
The bases loaded. The 0-2. Line drive, right field. Clark is there, nearly loses it. And Pujols, for whatever reason, was halfway to the plate. He cannot tag. He cannot score.
Yeah. Good 2-strike hitting by Belliard. The outfielder makes a nice play. Pujols is coming down the line thinking it's a base hit. You really got to tag up on that ball. You scored easily.
Wow. Belliard certainly stroked it, and that was a woeful 2-strike pitch by Cordero.
Yeah, too good of a pitch. I think if he'd have thrown a ball down in the zone, I think Belliard would have swung.
Resurrecting his career this year. We talked about how Jeff Cirillo did it. He had disappeared in Seattle. So it's Scott Spiezio. I mean, nearly for Scott, he'll tell you embarrassing numbers for a couple of years, but back home, he's from Illinois. He's been very comfortable, and this is where he can shine.
Well, he's done this a lot. Pinch hitting. Comes off the bench swinging. He knows the strike zone. He's got some pop. He can hit you out of the ballpark if you aren't careful.
3 postseason home runs and 19 postseason RBIs as he was part of leading the Angels to the 2002 World Series title. He's got a new red hat, but he wants to play again in October. Heat, strike 1.
Boy, Cordero's coming in and pounding the strike zone.
They play him to pull, as you can see, dramatically on the infield. And he's really able to handle that one. 0-2 the count.
Let's see what his approach here is with 2 strikes with Spezio.
John Rodriguez, well-traveled, longtime Yankee farmhand, trying to shine with the Cardinals here in the big leagues. Boy, if you're Mike Rivera, you had better be ready to block a pitch. Fastball looked like it might have grabbed the inside corner. 1-2 the count.
Pretty good pitch. He just pounds his palm.
Wow.
Down in the zone. Didn't look low. Catcher did do a very good job of framing that pitch, though.
That's tough for a catcher when you got to reach back, isn't it?
And that ball's coming at you 95, 96, 97 miles an hour.
Fastball bullet into the right field corner. It is down. 1 run is in. Another runner coming on around. Oquendo says, come on home. Encarnacion. The Cardinals lead it 3-2. Triple for Scott Spezio.
Well, when you start talking about clutch hitting, that, my friend, is clutch hitting. The veteran Spezio gets a good pitch to hit, drives it into the right field corner. All 3 runs score. Again, Cordero with 2 strikes gives the hitter a really good pitch to hit.
They're all wearing red. They're all clapping their hands. And again, there's the live version of it.
Boy, these fans are excited. You can see the third base coach, Oquendo, just waving in the third Cardinal run of this inning.
It has gone from a church mass to a nightclub here at Busch Stadium.
A disco.
This is the party right here. Scott Spezio, that little red beard. And that red beard was leading him all the way into third. Those knees don't go like they used to, Lou.
Boy, that's got to be fun coming off the bench. Yeah, he says.
Ironically enough, two guys that have resurrected their careers to two key hits today. Swing and a miss. Strike one to John Rodriguez.
Both pinch hitters.
Yep.
And both good two-strike hitting. Excellent two-strike hitting. And that's the difference with your experienced hitter. Pinch hitting is a tough thing to do.
And somewhere, maybe the Ritz-Carlton, maybe the Westin, somewhere in Atlanta, Phil Garner's stomach doesn't feel so good right now. And maybe some butterflies in that man's stomach, Adam Wainwright, as he will be learning to pitch in the 9th inning in October if it all works out. Not that I'm hungry, I just thought I'd use those two references. There's the slider, it's 2-2.
Well, this pitch here basically is unhittable. Just a hard slider right in on the hitter's hand.
Catcher's job so important.
Rivera did a nice job of shifting his weight and getting in front of that pitch. In the dirt.
Back-to-back blown saves by a man who has been automatic since coming from Texas. Infield playing the pull, the 3-2. Popped up into the sea of red it goes. David Bell, long run, stumbles a bit, but careful backhanded play, and a dandy. These Cardinals have been a bit tight lately. Whoa, Scott Spiezio, who was an angel, now he is in heaven, living on a prayer. It's 3-2. Lockdown time for the Cardinals and some changes to tell you about. Veteran Gary Bennett behind home plate. So Taguchi moves into center field. Encarnacion stays in the game, and he is in right field. Adam Wainwright, who will pitch in the 9th along with Braden Looper for these Cardinals. Takes the baseball, the right-hander out of Brunswick, Georgia.
Really a good curveball. That's his best pitch. 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
He topped you there with some heat, didn't he? He brought it in there, high 90s.
Well, he certainly's got some adrenaline.
I was going to say. There you see what he's done this season. One and two the count. Watch this pitch.
Again, he just pounds his fastball at the knees. That was a slider.
Braves' #1 pick in 2000 out of Georgia's Glenn Academy. Curveball, strike 3. Wow. Here is today's Pepsi double play. Last night with the Brewers trying to battle their way back. A big double play with a couple of runners on. Rivera hits into the pitcher's best friend. Log on to foxsports.com. Check out the Pepsi double play game. So he's got the slider and the curveball.
Well, you can see that his curveball is his best pitch. He really likes to throw it. I watched him pitch the other night against San Diego, and he used it almost exclusively in the 9th inning.
He saved that game the other night, that big win. Fastball is away, 1-0 the count. The Cardinals since September 18th, 3-9. Jeff Weaver has 2 wins. Tyler Johnson in line for the other 2. If in fact they can improve to 4-9 since that time. 1-1 the count. The believers are back, by the way. You can feel them. You can feel them all around this ballpark.
Boy, there's excitement and anticipation on every pitch.
You're game and a half up. You win, you're in the next 2 days. That's it. Win today, win tomorrow. Strike 2.
And one of the big differences between the St. Louis team and the Brewer team, the Brewers really don't have much coming off the bench, especially power-wise.
Yeah, when you lose a guy like Corey Koski, who maybe could provide that. The only option as far as pitch hitting goes is Gabe Gross, but not the big power hitter. The 1-2. Oh,
boy, he just missed for that one. You can see Bennett sitting away. Good hitting by Bell. He just laid off that breaking ball.
young and old, big and small. They're all wearing red, though. They share that in common. Their hearts have been skipping a few beats this week. 2-2. Curveball just got a piece of it.
Reminds me of a Alabama Crimson Tide football game at Tuscaloosa. Sea of red.
That's a great reference. Son was a Florida Gator, right, for a while playing football?
No, my son actually went to Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
Played for Coach Frank Beamer.
2-2 the count. We are not in Tuscaloosa, in the heart of St. Louis, and that's a bouncing ball. David Eckstein trying to heal.
Well, what a big boost if Wainwright can step into those big closer shoes and do the job for the Cardinals to get them into postseason and do it during postseason.
Louis got the stuff. There's no denying it.
He throws strikes. He's got that big curveball. And he's got a nice little 92, 93 mile-an-hour fastball that he can really spot well.
Well, if this in fact looks like a Tuscaloosa, Alabama football game, then this man might be uncomfortable. Gabe Gross, his freshman year, was a quarterback at Auburn University. Opted for baseball, and here he is. It may be a football Saturday, but not in this town. Not right now. You can see the difference. The slider's harder, smaller. The curveball slower, bigger.
Usually you don't see a young pitcher throwing both pitches. Nice concentration, nice presence.
2-0. Gross early on this year exploded onto the scene. Actually did show some of that power off the bench for manager Ned Yost, but hamstring injuries have hurt his second half. Just now getting healthy. You make a mistake, he does have 9 homers. 2-1. The count.
Boy, sometimes that third out is the toughest to get. see Tony pacing over there in the Cardinal dugout.
Ball 4, he lost it. Our Chevy player of the game for Tony La Russa in this 3-2 game. Well, who else? With the bases loaded, Scott Spezio. A familiar sight, much like 2002 in an Angels uniform. A stick into the corner in recognition of his outstanding play. Chevy makes a $1,000 contribution to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Chevy, an American Revolution. Pretty good contact guy in Brady Clark, but again, doesn't provide a whole lot of power. 4 home runs this year.
You got a pinch runner in the ball game.
That's because of that hamstring. Young Drew Anderson up to the minor leagues. Gross, former Auburn quarterback, doesn't have the wheels all the way back. Part of that double switch here is Clark. Strike 1, slider.
See that third baseman Rolen is shaded over towards the line, protecting it a little bit.
Bennett was trying to sell him on a fastball away. It took Wainwright a while to agree, and Clark, who is always noticeably deliberate, tired of waiting. With speed at first, that's the tying run. Good enough speed there to get to third. Fastball, ground ball. Welcome back to Baseball High. Red shirts, red hats, and right now dancing shoes are what it calls for. In the crowd, high fives all around. The magic number is 1. Win tomorrow, it doesn't matter what the Astros do.
Yeah, it's obviously a huge win for St. Louis. Come from behind, 3 runs in the 8th inning.
The final out. A contact pitcher, doesn't try to do too much.
A little tough hop there for the shortstop Eckstein, but he stayed with it. And look at the Cardinal bench explode coming onto the field.
That's a big sigh of relief right there. There is no doubt about it. These guys, they had admittedly tightened up. They had tightened up. Tony La Russa said, we have found the proper balance, that right sense of urgency. And with one swing of the bat from Scott Spezio, a clubhouse that had again in a dugout appeared to be a bit tight and loosened. Spezio, the hero from a couple of years ago for the Angels. Scott Spezio with the big hit. Scott joins us down in the diamond. Scott, Darren Sutton up here. First of all, congratulations to you. I know we talked yesterday and you said the mood, yes, it was tight, but we believe we can do it. I guess now you guys really believe, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean this team, that's the great thing. We got great character. We believe in each other. We've got a lot of hearts on this team that want to win, and until the final out's made, we never give up.
Scott, that's really good hitting with 2 strikes.
Hey, I'll take it. You know, Cordero's incredible. I faced him many times, and he's got a devastating slider. He also throws a splitter change, and his fastball is incredible too. So, you know, I was just trying to protect. There were 2 strikes, looking for anything over the plate, and trying to stay short, and luckily I got one in play.
All right, what are your plans tonight? I mean, is it go out and have a big steak, or is it maybe keep an eye on those Houston Astros?
Well, I'll keep an eye on them, but I'm going to go out and have a pretty good supper tonight.
All right, Scott. Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
You had a lot of good moments in 02. Let's hope for more this offseason.
That'd be great. Thanks a lot, Darren.
Scott Spezio with the big win. And the Brewers, they come up short. The Cardinals win it by a score of 3-2. Johnson the winner, Schaus the loser. For more information on today's game and for the latest in Major League Baseball news, log on to foxsports.com, powered by MSN. So for Lou, I'm Darren saying goodbye from St. Louis. Here's what we do right now. We go on out to La La Land. Here's Jeannie Zelasco and Kevin Kennedy. They're standing by in the Fox Television Center. Goodbye, everyone.